Hey,
What's up, y'all?
we're back with another AMA.
Welcome. These questions look great too. I was just looking through them. I have to say, all right, I'll go put it
Exciting.
on me.
Last time we did it, man, we got sucked into it, which is a great thing. We got sucked into it, and I think we went for like 2 hours.
I know.
We're trying to keep this one a little tighter, but we'll see what happens. So
This one's just for the ozone people.
yeah. All right. So you ready? I guess I'll just fire off and go with the first one, unless there's anything you
Yeah.
want to say. Oh, what's up, Pepper from Australia?
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for the support, and we have some cool stuff coming really soon. In fact, one of the things coming really soon is the answer to one of the questions on here. So it's good timing.
Nice. So, yeah, first question is from Greg Surratt. A groove offers a million possibilities of rhythmic and melodic or harmonic choices. How do you cull the noise and simplify the bass line?
Um, it's such a subjective thing. I think Aston Family Man Barrett is probably just such a genius at that, and so are all the greats. Uh, although some excel in this more than others, just like creating that perfect bass line. Um, One of the things that I do is there was a tune that I used to play with Tedeschi Trucks Band called "Changing Our Minds," and the bass line is written. It's the same way every time, but it's a long doom 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 ba 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 da ba. So there's like a repeat and then another repeat. So it's like a 4 bar bass line with a yin yang every bar. Um, but the fourth bar is not repeating the second bar. Anyway, I started thinking about your question, like, the bass line is fine, but what if how much can I take away from it where it still works? And it eventually became doom ba doom doom ba doom doom ba doom. And it was working just fine. And I left it that way for the rest of the time that I was in the band, I'm pretty sure. So they both can work. But that's how I do it, don't do do. So I'm out don't don't do do boom do boom boom. And I just take away this, take away that, take away a piece here, take it's like taking a bite out of something. Um and you could go the other way with that too. Um so it's hard. It's a very subjective thing because there are a million different possibilities. It's like, what do I choose from? And mostly I let the groove tell me. So every song has uh, kind of a melodic motif, a rhythmic motif. That rhythmic motif will fit into a certain groove. Once I get in that groove, the groove will tell me. It's a great teacher. But it might be the best teacher. I don't know for that kind of thing. So it's an intuitive process, and like you say, there's a million different possibilities. So it's a hard thing to pin down. That's why I try both or all the above and just see what feels right and then keep what feels the best and then edit the rest of the stuff out. So I hope
Nice.
that helps.
So it seems like it comes down a lot to just taking away. You like to see how much you can take away, and it still hit.
If there's a lot, like if the groove hands me something busy, the way it filters through my brain, then I let myself play it. Right? Everything is possible. Like nothing's wrong.
Mhm.
And then just as an experiment, like I don't know, I may go back to the busy bass line. Or like I say, use both. I'll play the really pared down one here. And then if the groove is like if we're in somebody's solo, maybe I put it all back in for a while.
Nice.
I don't know, like, try it all, see what throw everything at the wall.
Nice. Throw everything at the wall. I think that gives us a good
Well, and you have
transition.
to realize like we're composing now. Like that's the thing. Like composing is the ultimate, that's the highest level to me because you're conceptualizing things. So when you're improving or trying to write a bass line or whatever, just in the moment in a groove, like well, I do it. I write bass lines and move on and forget them a
Mhm.
100 times a night just in jams. But each one of them is important. Like I'm trying to find that perfect little thing where it just sits in there. It's like, yeah. And then I want to bump it up to the next level. I guess my wife had just got home because the dog's going crazy. Um, and then, you know, but that's composing. That's so when you're having to conceptualize and frame and build and do all that like in milliseconds, which your brain can do. It's an
Yeah,
amazing thing. But you know, give
that's
yourself be easy on yourself. You're doing something that's really it's like crazy hard. AI can't do it.
ooh, nice. I like that. Right on. Well, you ready for question number 2?
Yeah.
All right, this question is from Dan, and it's about Colonel Bruce. When we lost Colonel Bruce Hampton, I thought of you and Jimmy, not me, Jim Herring. I thought of you and Jimmy and the rest of the Aquarium Rescue Unit tour bus back in '93 in Portland, Maine, and the much nicer one from the San Francisco to San Diego back in '96. Aquarium Rescue Unit still ranks among the greatest band names of all time, but I digress. My question is, can you tell us about when Colonel Bruce guessed your birthday?
Yeah.
Bogger.
I should also tell you about how he chose the band name. He used to change the name every week. So his album was called Arkansas. Or was it Arkansas Traveler? I think it was just Arkansas. Maybe that was the first album of his I got. And so we were the Arkansas something. We just had a gig every Monday night. That was our only work. Every Monday night at the Little Five Points Pub. It would be 99 cents. He insisted on giving everyone back a penny for some ridiculous reason. Or who knows. Um, and he would change the name every week. We'd be the Arkansas Travelers one Monday, and the next Monday would be the Arkansas Tourists, and then would be the Arkansas State Birds, and then would be the Arkansas this and the Arkansas that. Well, then somehow, I guess because of widespread panic, and we got a record deal. And so he's meeting with Phil Walden from Capricorn Records, who was the same label that had Allman Brothers, Dixie Dregs, Marshall Tucker Band, all these bands back in the day. Uh, when Dwayne got Colonel Bruce that record deal with Phil Walden, and then you fast forward, and here comes Widespread Panic is doing the same thing. He's meeting with Phil, and Phil goes, "Colonel, what's the name of the band? We can't keep changing it every week." And Bruce just goes, "Aquarium Rescue Unit." He's like, "All right, that's great." Just like literally off the top of his head, and it's actually uh, just a piece, a really short, 3 words out of a line of one of his poems, which I think made it into a song, maybe the late Bronze Age or something like that. I can't remember. Um, but it was just like so off the top of his head, and that was our name. And we to this day don't know what it means. And would he would let people in interviews like say, "Oh, I love the name," and they would say what it means or a line in the song. It would totally not mean that, and he would just let
Yeah.
him go ahead. It's crazy. But when I first to your question, when I first met Bruce, he he took me out to the car to get this album, Arkansas. And oh my god, that car, you could barely ride in it.
Mhm.
It was dirty, wouldn't even, like Pigpen from Charlie Brown. Pigpen
With the
would live in
dust.
this car, right? So I got the album and I'm saying something. All of a sudden, he just goes, August 24th at 2 in the morning. And I was just like, what? Because I was born at 1:57 in the morning. So somehow, I'm not even sure he knew my last name. He got within 3 minutes of when I was born. I
Yo.
was like, what?
Whoa.
And I've seen him do it 100 times, or probably more than that. But yeah, I knew that I was gonna have to figure out that I was gonna be following him for a while. I was like, I gotta see what this is about. And sure
Yeah.
enough, it was much more than I even thought. You know, just everything, aliens, everything, the whole nine. So it's great.
Nice. I've heard a lot of people tell that story. It's just so wild. So
Yeah, it
wild.
was like it's part of how he got away with so much. You do something like that, and people are like, okay, and they just give you more leeway. You know, he would run with it. Uh, just shamelessly, sometimes shamefully. Maybe.
Nice.
Shaman, charlatan, extraterrestrial, you know, uh, teacher, crazy, degenerate gambler. uh, he was brilliant, man. Just really something.
Amen to that. Right. And if you haven't seen the documentary, what it's on Amazon Prime called Basically Frightened, I think.
Yeah, see it,
Definitely
see
worth
it.
checking out.
Don't just take my word for it. I had
Yeah.
a lot. There were so many questions that I had that were answered when I saw that documentary. It was way so much, uh, so many years after that time. Like 88 to 93. I
Hmm.
guess when we were together. Um, this was so long after that when that documentary came. I was like, oh my god, that's true. The craziest stories are the true ones, and all the rest is lies. It's so great. He's just something, man.
That's wild. He's wild. Very inspiring. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. Right on. Question number, I think it's number 3, is coming from Steve. After the encore at the Allman Brothers tribute show on March 9th in 2020 in Madison Square Garden, you waited by the stairs for Jaimoe. What did you say to him and what was his reply? Get
Uh,
specific.
I don't have any idea. I don't remember, honestly. Um, but I could tell you this: everyone in my life that has died, the thought always occurs to me sometime later, where I think about the last gig I played with them, and I go, "Oh, I had no idea that was going to be the last gig that I ever played with them, including
Mhm.
my own brother." Right?
Yeah.
So, um, it was probably something not about that, but something in light of that.
Hmm.
Like I don't know. I haven't played with JMO since the pandemic hit. Like was
Yeah.
that the last time? You know,
Hmm.
uh, so I don't know, but I bet it had something to do with that.
Nice.
And for the record, it's Jaimoe, everybody, because he legally changed his name to just JMO. Like he has no last name; it's on his license, which I think is so perfect. Uh,
That is awesome. Yeah, he was at last time I saw him play. You know, it's crazy is I got to share the stage with him at Roots Rock. That was last time I saw him play.
Yeah, Brute. Yeah.
That was before, so that was
Hope
probably
we can,
19.
yeah, I
I
hope we can
guess
have him back to Roots.
that would be
I hope
awesome.
we can have Roots back to Roots. We're gonna have Roots back to Roots.
Oh yeah, it's announced. Um, right on. All right. Question number 4 comes from Doug Curling. Says,
Curly.
Oteil, when playing guitar, we're taught rhythm and lead. What's the equivalent when playing bass? Sometimes I see you backboning with the drums, and other times it's playing like a lead guitar. Talk us through figuring out where to best fit in the song.
That you know, there was it's such a weird thing. Um Technically there was no such thing as lead bass, right? But
Mm,
there's certain people that just stuck out. And so they couldn't help but be lead bass, like Bootsy, you know, and Alfonso Johnson and Jocko and Stanley and just all that, if you
mhm.
think about any of these bass players, like in rock and roll, the ones that just don't fit into that bass supportive,
Yeah.
um, so like Barry Oakley, right? Jack Bruce. Uh, I mean, obviously, Phil Lesh, man, he's like a whole. And there's a lot of guys. Like most of my favorite guys have this thing where they can't really help it. They just stick out. Even Family Man. Family Man is somehow this is Bob Marley's bass player, Aston
Mhm.
Family Man Barrett. Somehow he's playing backbone and lead bass at the same time. That's the ultimate Jedi, like, where it's just you know, uh, James Jamerson is like that too.
Mm,
Um, so for me, the way it happened, when I heard Alfonso and Stanley and Jocko, that was like the first era of like for real lead bass to me.
mhm.
Um, that I was aware of, where like the bassists get to solo like the guitar players, and the whole nine. Um, and so that's kind of where I took my cues from. But I also come from uh, just funk, like black music traditions, where it's just like you have to be in the groove. So I'm
Mm.
happy like playing a repetitive bass line if it's just perfect and it's just in that groove, in that pocket. I could go like eventually I'm gonna veer off it in the jam, but I like both. I like contrast. So um the Allman Brothers was a unique thing though, because when I started playing with them, Dickie would come up next to me, and get real close to me. And I didn't know what he was trying to signal. And I guess it was him or somebody. Oh, I think it was probably Joe Dan Petty, the original guitar tech since the very beginning, before he passed away. He said, when Dickie gets close to you like that, he's trying to get you to go up with him. So when he's soloing and he starts to go north, because he's building his solo up gradually and building it up gradually. He's like, once he starts going up the neck, he wants you to go up with him, because Barry Oakley used to do that, because Barry was a guitar player. So he had a really unusual approach, which was very frustrating to Greg, right up to the day Greg died, because certain things Barry did, I kept him that way because it's Barry Oakley. And then in the jams, I changed certain things, but there was certain stuff that just it would change the song. It's like Family Man with Marley. Like if you change that bass line, it's not the song anymore. You have to play Stand Back that way. You have to play Don't Keep Me Wondering that way. Black Hearted Woman, Leave My Blues at Home. Like all those classic Oakley lines that are just the best. Like there's no way I was gonna change. I changed Leave My Blues a little bit for Greg because and I did the second half the way Oakley did it because he just wished it would be that way for 45 years. I was like, "Ah, throw the man a bone,
Okay.
see what he was doing." Like it's interesting. It's just like a D blues, but Barry is playing like B minor, or no, I'm sorry, it's like a G blues, like a G7, and Barry's approaching it like a B minor. It's really
Hmm.
crazy, but it's because of that position on the neck. It's a guitar position. And when I say I mean like using the open strings, which I don't use hardly at all, you know. But as a
Yeah.
guitar player, he would be oriented that way. So, you
Hmm.
know, it was written into the bass line sometimes, but a lot of times when Barry, he would hold it down, and then when Dickie started going north or Dwayne, he would go with him, and he'd mix up because he was a guitar player. He knew what, you know, and all my favorite bass players that play lead bass are guitar players. They're bass guitars. That's something that Anthony Jackson is very about. Like, I play six-string contrabass guitar. It's not a bass violin. It's a guitar.
Mhm.
So I approach it like a guitar because it's a guitar. you know? Don't get mad at me that I'm playing guitar because that's what it is. You know? Um, and you could put whatever boxes around it you want or limitations you want, but I I like both and I like the contrast. I like
Mhm.
locked down. I like completely free. I like to play in a key, in a groove. And sometimes, if you're crying because your dog died, it's not in any key. It's crying time, So, um, yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Nice. Next question is a video submission. Yeah. So, Eric, whenever you're ready, go ahead and cue that up. And that's from
Hey
Stefan.
Teal, my name is Stefan. There's a subject I would like to get your take on. Thinking about you playing in Dead and Company and the Allman Brothers, what is interesting about this to me is the fact that you always followed bass players who originally came from different backgrounds. Phil coming from composition and Barry and Woody coming from the guitar. I'm a guitar player myself, but find myself playing more bass privately and professionally. So, my actual question is this. Do you find that guitar players that switch to bass bring something different to the table? How do they differ and what might be strengths they bring to their playing? What are things they might be lacking and need to pay special attention to? Of course, every musician is unique, but are there general things you observed in studying other players? Thank you very much, Oteil, and God bless you. Bye.
God bless you too, man. Um, there are, yeah, there are definitely, everybody brings something different. I encourage everybody to just play as many instruments as you can. I have drums here, banjo, keyboards, bass, guitar. I used to have a steel drum. I have an acoustic piano, little Steinway upright in there. A Steinway, Yamaha. You got a Steinway. Um, so yeah, my drumming brings something very different to my bass playing. And I think that's why I get hired a lot, even being like a busy bass player, because I'm in the groove. I'm locked in that groove. If you're in the groove, there's in and there's out. And if you're in the groove, you're in the groove. Right. So I know how to connect with a drummer because I connect with drummers as a drummer. I play bass as a drummer. So yeah, as a guitar player, you're going to bring something different to it. Um, as far as what might be a weakness, I don't know. Everybody, I don't think uh Western musicians put as much emphasis on rhythm as they could. I won't say should, but I come from black music traditions. Like rhythm is so, you know, you got to have your rhythm. If you're not in the groove, man, we're not doing nothing. Like it doesn't mean anything, unless it's supposed to be a grooval or like atonal, you know what I mean? But um yeah. So I don't know if that's specific to guitar players, just anyone in general, like get your rhythmic thing down. If you're playing improvisational music, whatever, like any kind of American music, a lot of it's going to be like even bluegrass. Man, bluegrass has some of the most syncopated. Our old mandolin player was just like roast like Afro-Cuban stuff because he was so used to the syncopations. I was like, wow, that was a mind blower. His sense of rhythm was unbelievable. Is I should say was, it still is. Um, so yeah, just make sure you concentrate on rhythm as much as harmony and whatever other concepts. Um, but weaknesses are okay too because you have strengths in other ways, you know. So not to say don't like work on your weaknesses and try to shore them up, but everybody they're just tendencies, you know. Like my son is obsessed with Pokemon and the Pokemons are all different. This one's a fire one, this one's a water one, this one's a that. So it's powerful in this way, but it's weak to something else. So like the fire's weak to water or something. It's just all balance. And I was like, wow, these Pokemons is just kind of like a wheel. They all kind of balance each other out. So, just like, yeah, play more bass. It's great. It'll change your guitar playing. you know, um, it's all good. And don't worry about any of it, like just whatever you feel like is something you got to work on, whatever you feel like is a weakness. Yeah, our intuitions tell us. They're very honest with us. We just don't listen to them. And go ahead and work on it. I'm doing it now. I'm finally diving into stuff that I've literally avoided my whole life. But I'm just like, I'm going in. What do we got? I'm stuck here in a pandemic or whatever. And let's do this diminished harmony and just, I'm so cross eyed, but it's great because I'm just working on something that, you know, I've, it's been a mystery to me for all this time, essentially. I can hear it, but I'm putting it to bed. So good for you, man.
Heck yeah, that was cool to see the face of an
Yeah.
Ozone member up on screen. That's awesome.
We love video submissions. Bless you, bro.
Yeah, please send in video ones. The questions have been amazing though. I gotta say that, but video questions are awesome. Cool. So this next one comes from my buddy actually, who is a member. He plays in a band down near you called Electric Kiff. Digo. Digo. Yeah. He first question is, how do you keep moving the harmony in a one chord jam?
That's the most fun part about exploring chords has been the triads, when Carol K got me into the extended triads, I started looking at it with just more. And now, with the diminished stuff and the altered dominant, um, man, every fingering of triads that I used to play or practice that I didn't really use, like I didn't favor them, but I kind of programmed them in there, got it, the treads, got the grooves worn. I'm using them all now, man. And that's the most fascinating thing is the triads, which really kind of makes sense because we're in a 12-tone system, so it's just like the way you weave back in and around it, and now I found the algorithm can be very useful on YouTube. It spit up these videos about triad pairs, which I didn't look at things that way. And now I've been getting into that a lot, and it's a really fascinating way to look at it, because it may be just two triads that you play over E minor or something, like E minor and D major, I think was one of them. It's really fascinating, like the arpeggios. So they're just different ways to cycle back around on things. Um, and then again, also trying to like create another bass line. Um, uh, that's when I'm doing jams, I kind of think of it as going through gears. So we may just play the repetitive original line for the first 32 bars or 16 bar, whatever chunk. And then I'm going to write a new bass line for this next gear. So we're going to go into second gear, third, fourth when the solo's peaking. Maybe we back down gears. I'm following the soloist, but then when we go into overdrive, maybe I'm playing 16th notes for the whole bass line like Rocco or something, from Tower of Power. But there's all the bass subs is another way. So if we're in E minor, maybe I'll go to A, you know. Uh Maybe I can make it E minor major, which means I could also make it E flat sharp 9. There's all kinds of there's go to make it G major instead of E minor, Figure how many bass notes can I put in, uh can I change it to increase the tension a little bit more, I mean, there's so many different things. All of it's really intuitive. Um, it's something I should do. It's a really great question because I'm sure more of it will come to me after this AMA is over.
Yeah.
So I'll try to make a little thing on in the Ozone where it's just about that, the different devices and the toolbox for the one chord E minor jam, because there's a lot of them, and I remember there was this one time I used to go out and play with the um when I still had the Peacemakers together, and I would always kind of get scared that my chops were going to go away because I was mostly playing four string with the Allman Brothers. So I would go back out with my band and play six string, you know, because I thought I want to keep it together, And then one day, and the six string changed the way like all the chord stuff that I learned on six string did change the way played four string and saw it. I could see a lot more. So whereas I didn't have the range, I would just like turn it back in on itself like a DNA, like a helix. Um, but one day the thought occurred to me, like, what if your last gig is with the Allman Brothers and not with the Peacemakers? Like, what if you do Allman Brothers gig and then you get hit by a car? And I was like, wow, I have to make sure that I get as peak of an experience out of this four as I do the six. And that's when I really, also at that time I got really into Family Man. So I was into like finding that perfect baseline thing, you know. But it just occurred to me, it was like everything is there. It's the same 12 tones, right? It's just how you put it together. Yeah, you can't play the whole chord. There's a lot of things you can't do, but there's a way to lay it out and emphasize those same intervals of the chord voicings that you like the most. That's what Jocko was doing. That's what Stanley was doing. That's what Alfonso was doing. That's all the greats were doing. So I just dove into it and I found, oh, this is great. I can do this forever. Like E, let's do it. All the things I would do on six string, the way I just look at an E minor, I have this option, that option, blah, blah, blah. I'll do on the four, And so I'll do a section like that in the app later on.
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna ask that. There's a dog back there too, dropping toys.
We got
It's
two dogs on deck, y'all.
And Diego had another question, a little more specific. What scale would you use over a 7+5 chord, whatever that means? And how do you use
Yeah.
the melodic minor scale? Any suggestions?
The melodic minor, I think, is the one that you use, but they say it's like the 7th degree or the 6th degree of the melodic minor is the scale for that chord. I call it the half and half scale. It's the same scale I would use for a dominant 7 sharp 9 chord. So my 6-string fingering for a sharp 9 chord will be the sharp 9. My 5-string fingering for that chord will be the sharp 5 because I can't reach the sharp 9. We're up an octave where it sounds good to me. But I can do that 1, 7, 10, really flat 13, which is the sharp, same thing as the sharp 5. But that's how I build it from the bottom. It would be 1, and then on top of that, the dominant 7. On top of that, the 10, which is the major third up an octave. And then on top of that, the flat 13, which is a sharp 5. So that I call the half and half scale, which is this melodic, the 6th or 7th degree of the melodic minor, whatever it is. I'm not good at theory. I do it by the shape. So the reason I call it half and half is the first half is the half whole diminished scale. So say we're on C. So it would be C, C sharp, right? D sharp, and then E. That would be the first. Then you go to the tritone, which is F sharp. You go whole tone, right? Um, so that's the scale. So F sharp, G sharp, A sharp would be when you from the tritone, and then you're back up to C, right? So the first line looks like the half whole diminished, and from the tritone looks like whole tone. That's why I call it half and half diminished, half whole tone, and then you start again, and it's symmetrical. I just found the sweetest chord melody for that scale and chord that I've been looking for since 1991 when I got that bass originally. And we just recorded it for the
Yeah,
Ozone.
we did.
I can't wait for you guys to hear it. I can't wait to start using it on Dead and Company and all the other gigs, man, because I found that mug now.
I'm gonna edit it soon. I promise. I promise.
Yeah. And it's these triads, man. It's from doing these triad pairs and doing all these. It's just like, and I just was like, what if I had mathematically done it years ago and it just didn't sound good. It was like correct. But it wasn't hitting me. And that chord hits me, the sharp 5. Oh, it just kills me. The sharp 9, the flat 9, all those, flat 5 or sharp, all that stuff just kills me. I was like, there's got to be a way. And I ended up just using the upper inversion, and boom, it came. And then I changed a couple for some triad pairs that I learned that Coltrane and McCoy were using over that sharp 5, sharp 9 chord, which is like where's my bass? What is it if you do it? Let me just I want to call it correctly because I could tell you right now. It's a YouTube came up. Yeah, it's just every inversion of a D major, of a G major and F major chord over a B7 sharp 9. Woohoo! Ooh, hauntingly beautiful. So one of the a couple of the triads that occur, I believe it's in the sharp 9 chord. The first triad is diminished, then the next one is minor, minor, whole tone, major, major, diminished, and then you're back to diminished again. So I took all those and I was like, yeah, yeah. I did them high, I'm droning over the low B, and I'm just like, and I said, well, what if I use the up, just the inversion, first inversion up, boom. And then what I did was I changed the two diminished ones to major. That's that F major and G major that Train and McCoy were doing. And bingo, man. It was like the clouds opened up. I was like, wow, I've been looking for that for 30 years. And I found you. So, yeah, I can't wait for you to hear that. And I lay out that scale and all that stuff. All that stuff is all of the scale, I believe, in the chord are already in the Ozone, but this new one is going to be popping up soon. The chord melody to it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that. Less than $1 a day.
And it's coming, dude. The diminished stuff, I'm just starting to like. I've been hearing it for a long time because a lot of my favorite people, Schofield, and Jimmy was working on this way back in the day in the early 90s, really rabbit hole in it. And I was like, so I kind of, I'm starting to hear it and I'm starting to see it.
Mhm.
And that stuff's coming down the pike soon. Just try it. Every major try has a minor one and a diminished one. It's just insane. It's like, okay, well, what notes can't you use? But I want to know how I'm using. I don't want to just pick them at random. It's really crazy stuff. Crazy
Nice.
stuff.
Sweet. Well, he said Digo's in the chat inside of the app, and he said,
Oh,
"Thanks,
cool.
Otil. Great AMA. Love it."
Thank you, Digo.
It's so cool to have people interacting and
I
just
would
right
be
here.
coming to see you, Digo, but these kids, man, they got me going to bed early, bruh. I'm gonna try to get out there. I really want to see you guys,
Yeah,
Florida boys.
I enjoy watching them. All right, so we have another question from a member. First name Popo. Said from Posito Creates. Let's see. What did you practice the most when you made the decision that you wanted to pursue music?
Everything. Well, uh, that happened in stages. Like the first thing that happened was I wanted Kofi to ask me to be in his band. So I was gunning for their bass player. So I worked on everything he was doing and tried to do it better. um, you know, Kofi trained me. So a lot of it was rhythm. Like a rhythm had to be on. Like say, we came from that tradition though. I played drums since I was 5. I played in an African drumming group from Ghana since I was 7. So I mean, like that was a thing. But to get this harmony thing together, and I heard Kofi practicing flute for, since he was 7. So I was used to hearing scale exercises and arpeggios and stuff. So a lot of that stuff, I just got a metronome. I would ask Kofi about harmonic things just to make sure I knew, I learned my major scale, my minor scale, and where all the notes are. I remember calling him to ask him how to tune it because he bought the first bass guitar. I was a drummer, and then he left it at home, and I picked it up, and I was starting to like learn Earth, Wind, and Fire or something, or what, it might have been Parliament Funkadelic, and I was like, hey, how do you tune this thing before I get any further down the rabbit hole? Like, learn the whole song and then find out it's tuned wrong, so just throw all that out the window. And but I worked with a metronome on string jumping exercises, like just every combination I could think of, like non-musical. They're just like mathematical. I do that one finger per fret thing. This is all covered in the ozone. So I would go up da 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 da, just half steps, and then go up to the next string, da 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 da. And then this is on 4 string, so when I get up to this pinky, then I go up 1 fret and come back down. Da 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 da. So you keep snaking your way up, and you snake your way back down. Keep going faster, staccato, legato, right? Then accent. Like put the accent on the 1, the 4, the 2, the 3, fast, staccato, legato, just like it's many different combinations I could think of. And that wasn't even like harmonic exercises. We're just, you know, especially the string jumping stuff. Then I would start applying harmony. Okay, now how can I do these with harmony? So I did it with major scale, did the snake in your way up thing and down. Do that with major scale, minor scale, mixolydian. I would simplify things. Most stuff is just major, minor, dominant. So I would start with that. But when I started learning the fusion stuff and eventually that's how I bridged over to learning jazz and that harmony. You just had to get, and fortunately I had Kofi, so I'd be like, okay, what kind of scale do you play over this chord, or what is that chord, or what do you? So and then at 18, when I went out on my own, I told my parents I didn't want to go to college. I just wanted to play bass, and I asked them to let me just stay home and practice. And so I just went bananas, and yeah, I worked on everything. I did not do like classical stuff because I don't read. I probably could have really benefited from all the Bach cello suites. I hear all the great bassists talk about that, but it's just 12 tones. Like every time I find something, it reminds me of some classical piece or something. It reminds me of something else. I'm just discovering it. I'm not inventing anything. I'm just finding stuff that's already been done before. So, I mean, literally everything, man. Um, Kofi used to play with bird sounds. you know, just play everything.
That's great. Right on. Next question comes from Rich, who's also a member. Is there a particular order that you would suggest for learning or practicing music theory topics or technique topics?
Yeah, I think about that all the time. Every time I try to do a curriculum. For me, technique, it's funny because I don't think about it a lot. Students have pointed out to me, "Oh, you're leading with your index finger, or you're leading with your middle finger, or what?" Like I don't. I played with just these 3 fingers for many years, and I was like, "Dude, you got to get." My pinky probably still sticks out, and I play like this most of the time. But it'll lay down when I'm going to use it. So I'm probably not the best person for technique advice because I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't think about it. I think conceptually what I want to do. And then sometimes when I have to think about it, I just play something really slow until I don't have to think about it anymore. But as far as like harmony, to me, the whole way that I do it is the way I learned it, which is just, especially on bass, trying to merge the number and the shape of it and the interval. So a minor third is, I don't know, I don't have perfect pitch, so I don't know what this note is. I don't even know if it's in tune, but I know that This note, a minor third is here. Da da da. That's 1 major second, minor third. 1 minor second, minor third. 1 major second, major third. So each interval from the first half step, minor second, minor third, major third, fourth, augmented fourth or flat fifth, 5, minor 6, major 6, minor 7, major 7, you're back to the octave. And those are all the intervals of your chords, however they're stacked. If you have 1 major third, minor 7, you have a dominant 7th chord. If you have 1 major third, 5, major 7, you have a major 7th chord, So that's all. Just start with the most simple things, just half steps, and then just start from there and go to like 1-5, 1-4-5, the simplest relationships, major chords, minor chords. Then you start getting into, as soon as you go dominant, then you have altered dominance. Now you're off into, the land of spices, yeah, just break everything down to its simplest components. And even when you get into really complex stuff, Kofi would always tell me, like, these complex chords are really kind of like 2 simple chords superimposed over each other. And I was like, oh. He was like, yeah, look, this is just another triad. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about it that way, So then it kind of made it not so terrifying, like a minor major 7 or a minor major 9 or a, all the altered dominants, you know, all that stuff.
Nice.
We do
Yeah,
go
it
through
seems-
that, and that's in the app too. I try to break it down, like start simple. So
Mhm.
that some beginners, I mean, we don't spend a whole lot of time on the beginning stuff because you could go on YouTube for that. We're gonna get into it, but you need, you got to have those building blocks.
Yeah. All right. Matt says, would you be willing to do a lesson series really dissecting your favorite jam from the last Dead and Company tour and why you made some of the real-time choices you did?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I was thinking about doing um, a thing on. There's this one harmonic minor jam in the long version of Terrapin, and it's a great thing to hear, like the chords and the intervals on 6 string, and I could sing it and play it at the same time. So I'm gonna try to do that. Maybe even play drums along with it. Uh, let's see if I get everything rigged up here. Um, but yeah, that's a good idea. I don't like picking a jam from the last tour. I'd have to listen to a lot of shows. Maybe you could tell me what jam you'd like me to do, so I don't have to listen to myself for that long. Yeah, it might be cool if you tell me. I'll do it for you because it would be interesting for me to like go back cold and see, like, 'cause I don't remember. All that stuff is like gone as soon as we do it.
Yeah.
I remember there's high points, but
Yeah.
we didn't have a
it
bad
all-
night that whole run, so I don't know what I would pick from.
I'll send him an email. He might be on the call. I don't see him commenting, but yeah, I'll send him an email and I'll just ask him. I'll say, what do you want?
You
You
tell
know?
me, bro.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's all the questions. We have one comment that was on a video inside of the app, and I think we might have looked at this at your house, but I don't think we went over it on the last AMA. So this is on video level 2.3, and it's on the major scale. And I think you just mentioned this. So an interesting detail I got from this video When you're descending in the keys of the major scale, you shift positions with your index finger on the major sixth and not with the pinky on the octave. Just a little thing, but the transition feels much more natural that way. Yeah, so just looking at different ways to pick things, I guess.
See, I told you like the technique stuff because students always notice what I'm doing more than I do. Like my brain just would adjust, Like a lot of the chord movements, sometimes like, wow, if I think about that, I could never do it. Like just let your body do it. It knows how to do it. Like it will just do it by itself. Yeah, that's interesting. And that's why I'd say there's no wrong ways. Whichever is the easiest way. Like if my body chose that way to do it, then it's right for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, that's why you got to try all these different fingerings. There's so many different ways to finger the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know when you're going to need it. So you might as well have them all programmed in there because I'll be damn fine using every last one of them now, boy.
Nice. Well, let's see. That's everything that's submitted. We do have one YouTube question from a commenter on YouTube. We got a couple minutes left before we hit the hour mark, so why not? He says, "Has there been any talk of Bruce Hornsby getting with Dead and Company?"
Actually, I haven't heard that, and that would be cool.
Or
I
guest
remember
him?
when ARU toured with them. I think, yeah, we've been just trying to find ourselves as a group, and I feel like Kameni's really just spreading his wings. I mean, fans could tell me they've been following him for many years, but it appears to me like he's spreading his wings in a way that he really hasn't before. And so we're letting him fly, But we always have people say it'd be great to see Bruce again, man. It's been a long time. Been a long time since I've seen him.
Heck yeah. Well, I mean that about wraps it up. That's all the submissions we got right now for this one.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Actually, let me double check, make sure there weren't any last minute ones sent in for this one. While I'm pulling this up, you mind telling them about the special?
Yes, that's right. Through the end of the year, $1 a day for the Ozone. So that's like, less than Starbucks. And we're going to have stuff coming down the pike regularly. And I'm going to try to do this before we have too many members where I could do it. But to have like a 20-minute hang with each of the subscribers that do like the yearly subscription. So because I'm sure that people are going to have questions about, and the stuff I'm about to put on is even more thick than what's already on there. So um, I want all of you to be able to actually get to talk with me just like this with two bases. And, if you have any questions, maybe I can clear some stuff up for you. So we're going to do that too. That'll be coming up soon. So thank you for all you that are already supporting. I really appreciate it. I enjoy staying home as much as possible while my kids are young and seeing as much of it as I can because it's magic.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky I've caught all the first walking, talking, first words, treading water the first time. Like I've been so lucky, man. I missed a few with Kavi because we adopted her and she was in India, and when she started walking and certain things we missed. But it's great to be able to be home and see these, miraculous milestone developments. So thank you. And I really enjoy teaching. I enjoy connecting with people, and I'm over the first part of my life. So I'm thinking about after I'm gone, I hope somebody gives a crap about six string and will continue the, And while I'm at it, shout out to Todd Johnson. Man, I ran into this guy at a NAMM show forever ago, playing so much chord melody stuff on bass, just like what? Just jazz harmony. Knows it much better than I do. Yeah, he's the man. Check him out. Find him. Just find him. He's findable. And he runs a camp. Try to go myself.
Well, hey, maybe we can get in touch with them. Maybe we can get them on more calls or something. One of these calls.
Yeah, I am gonna DM him. Yeah, he's amazing.
That'd be cool.
That harmony.
Nice. Well, right on. We got people saying thank you for this. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
I think
You.
it's a reciprocal gratefulness that's
Yeah.
going around right now. I really
Yeah.
appreciate all this. It's just great.
And thanks to Jimmy. Oh, sorry. He created this whole thing. This is Jimmy created this whole app. So thank you, man. This is beyond a dream come true. I couldn't have even dreamed this back when I was young.
Good. Well, thanks for learning valuable stuff because it takes that. That's the whole deal.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Right on, guys. Thank you. And yeah, we'll be putting out. We haven't picked a date for the next AMAs yet, but get on into Ozone because from here on out, they're all going to be members only, and it's going to be a lot more, deeper connection with who jumps in and helps support this. Todd Johnson is very Googleable. Merry Christmas. Yeah. Thank you, guys. And yeah, that's it. So Eric, we're good to ride out whenever you do.
Bless you guys. Happy holidays.
Thank you.